is all.
I think the worst thing I ever did, though, was, this is gonna sound so bad, and I hope you guys don't judge me. Or if you do, like, I completely understand. I'm a piece of shit for what I did. But just know I was in this dark, dark place, and I didn't know. I don't know. I didn't even comprehend or think through or think of anybody else but myself. But I ended up, I just remember there was a person who was selling me opiates at the time and Xanax and whatever I needed. And I didn't have any money. And I ended up going in my mom's drawer and stealing my mom's wedding ring that my dad had gotten her. My mom's wedding ring. And a bunch of other jewelry. She kept it in this little box with all her expensive jewelry. I ended up stealing everything in there. I haven't thought about this for so long. And bringing it to a pawn shop and selling it all. And I think I got like $2,000 from it, which is like nothing in comparison to what it was actually worth. It was so fucking sad. And she knows about this now, but, and that was like a really, I was at a high because I'd gotten the drugs, I had a bunch of money to spend, and I was just kind of riding this high of just selfishness is what I was riding this high of, like, oh my God, I feel amazing. I have cash to spend. I have drugs to take. I was driving around like not a care in the world without even thinking of the repercussions or how my mom would feel or my dad or what I had actually did. I didn't even think of the scale of, like, I just robbed my mom. Something that happened to me when I was younger. Something that I was just such a piece of shit. And especially for my mom, who is the one that pretty much raised me, who taught me all my morals and values and fed me and kept a roof over my head, spent all her money sending me to military school to try and correct my behavior. Like, I could go on and on. The lady is a fucking saint. She is the most sympathetic, empathetic, amazing, flawless woman I've ever met in my entire life. Literally like my hero. Her work ethic, her sense of humor. If I got just 10% of her qualities, I would be blessed. Like, I'm sorry, but she's such an amazing lady. And yeah, so I ended up pawning it off. And I remember a week later, I'm just, doing my fucked up shit, taking Xanax, being fucked up all day, playing video games, doing nothing with my life. And I remember my mom walking into my room being like, oh my God, Jake, my wedding ring is gone. Everything's gone. All my jewelry that I've kept over the years. And I somehow convinced her, I don't even know if she was convinced or if she was just in denial. I somehow convinced her that the mechanics or the maintenance guys that came into our apartment must have stolen it and blah, blah, blah. And I made up this elaborate lie, like a piece of shit son I am. And so she ends up calling the police, and the police get involved. And at this point, I'm a little nervous, but I'm like, oh, there's no way they'll find it. Oh, I'm good. It's not a big deal. And they start investigating, and days go by, and a police officer. I remember coming home from like a friend's house or something, and the police officer lady is there. She's with my mom, and I think they had been talking. And basically what had happened was when you pawn stuff, you have to give them your fucking ID. And you're on video. Like, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. And so I was basically busted. And at that point, all this shit ran through my head of... It just hit me like, oh my God, what the fuck have I done? My mom was crying. I was crying. I felt like the biggest piece of shit because... One, I had stole from my mom, the person who cares about me the most. Two, I had lied to her, right to her face, and just acted like it wasn't a big deal. Oh, it must have been the maintenance guys. And just seeing my mom just brokenhearted, like, how could her son do that to me? That was like, just seeing her face, I was just like, I am the biggest fucking scumbag. And I just broke down, and I opened up to her, and I was just like, and she knew I had the drug problem. Like, there was nothing new. It's just she was trying to maintain, maintain as much as she could and help me out, but also trying not to enable me and trying to be hard on me, but also be loving and nurturing. It's too much for one parent to do. It really is. But yeah, I ended up just opening up to her and just being like, look, I have a huge problem with drugs, with Xanax, with opiates. And yeah, I just told her everything. I just opened up and I was just like, and my mom could have pressed charges on me. I could be in jail for selling thousands of dollars worth of jewelry, robbing my own mom. But we ended up coming up with a solution. I'd just go to treatment. And I know that sounds kind of like a cop-out, but I was seriously, maybe jail would have been good for me. You never know, but I needed treatment so bad. I remember literally after the cop left, and the cop was really nice, really cool. Most cops are. It just sucks that, the shitty cops give. Anyways, cop was really cool. She ended up leaving, and my mom ended up being like, I think you need to go to treatment. And I was like, yeah, I do, for sure. And so we, like 20 minutes after the cop left, she ended up driving me to treatment. I went to detox. I was there for like a week and a half, and I was just crying so hard in the car. I've never cried that hard in years. And I ended up going to treatment. And the thing about my mom is she never told anybody about that. She never told anybody that I stole from her and pawned off her wedding ring and her jewelry. She never said shit about that to my dad, to any of my family members, to her friends. That's insane. She didn't talk to anybody about that. I don't know if it was out of embarrassment or just to save my own reputation, but that's crazy. That's awesome. But yeah, so I ended up going to treatment. And if anybody's aware, first time going to treatment, it's rare that you will actually stay sober. That's just what I've seen going to treatment. And so I go to treatment for 30 days, and it's awesome. I make all these connections with people. We're all just a bunch of pieces of shit in this building, and the door's locked, and you're just there. It's like a vacation away from your own head. Actually, that's not true. That's all you talk about is what's going on in your head. It's a vacation away from all the outside stresses of the world, and you're just focused on yourself. You wake up, you eat, you go to class and meditation and all this stuff. And it's kind of neat. It is. If anybody's afraid to go to treatment, don't be afraid. It's actually amazing. You learn so much about yourself and about other people and the psychology of it and just addiction in general. And coping mechanisms are huge. It was fucking awesome. And so I end up getting out of treatment and, everything's good. I immediately go to a meeting and life is good. And there comes a night, this was probably a couple months later maybe, and keep in mind, I'm skipping over a lot of stuff that is fucked up, but I'm kind of I want to wrap this up so that you guys don't have to sit through all this shit. I'll probably make this part 1 of 2, or part 2 of 2 now. But there was one time where my mom was flying, and at this point my dad had just had back surgery, and he's fucked. Like, he's going crazy because I feel like he had an infection and it went to his brain, or it went septic or something, and he didn't work for like weeks. And anyways, my mom was flying she was in China. She's a flight attendant, and I was at work. I was working at Home Depot at the time, and I end up getting sick at work. I just didn't feel good. Something didn't feel right. I end up throwing up, and I end up calling my friend to pick me up so she can take me to the doctors. And it was still early because she had to go do something. So we went back to my house. I wanted to pick up my laptop and so I could take it to the doctors, so I had something to do. And I remember we pulled up, and I ended up going in the apartment, and my dad had been sleeping all the time at this point and, not doing shit. He was mentally unhealthy, physically unhealthy, just not eating, like not even drinking alcohol. And he loved drinking beer. And I end up walking into the apartment. And it's just eerily silent. It's really quiet. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is so weird. I'm like, Dad? And there was no answer. And I just felt like something was weird. It was just, you know, when you can feel someone present, in, like, even if they're in the other room, you just kind of feel them there. I don't know what that is, but I couldn't feel anything. Like, I was like, this is weird. Is he not home? So I went in the room and I found him, and unfortunately he had passed away. And I was like, in my head, I was like, okay. I was like, he's not dead. So I started yelling like, Dad, Dad. And he didn't move or anything. And it was, I don't know. I still have like vivid dreams about it. And I have dreams where he's still alive. And I'm like, oh my God, I thought you were dead. And it's still fucked me up a lot. But that, and then I ended up having to call my mom in China and give her that talk of like, you know, she's halfway across the world. I ended up having to call her and give her that talk of like, listen, my dad died. And she burst out crying, like having to find your dad and then having to call your mom and tell her that is, it's not easy. Obviously, it's tormented me for years. It still does a lot of times, especially when I get depressed. My brain immediately goes to thinking about the most fucked up shit in my life, and there's a lot of fucked up shit. But yeah, it was just. But anyways, so yeah, we ended up having the funeral and stuff, and that's when, you know, there was one night my mom. Oh God, this is just gonna keep going on and on. But my mom is on a certain medication, and I ended up taking all of it and selling some of it and taking some of it, and she didn't have any medication left, so she ended up taking a sleeping medication, and she was sleepwalking, and she doesn't remember this, but my dad, when I went to treatment, ended up getting me getting all the stuff at my P.O. box. I had like thousands upon thousands of Xanax sitting there, and he grabbed it and he hid it in like his golf bag in the trunk of his car. And my mom ended up, because she couldn't sleep and she was going crazy, like with restless leg syndrome and all this stuff, and she was just losing her mind. And she doesn't remember this to this day. And all this happened because of me, but she ended up going down and grabbing it so she could take something to sleep because she just felt awful. And I ended up stopping her, and she came up with like a huge bag of Xanax, like thousands of Xanax bars in a bag. And I ended up stopping her because she was sleepwalking. She didn't know what she was doing. She still doesn't remember this. I remember stopping her and just walking her to her bed and laying her down. And then it was just me in this dark living room with this huge bag of Xanax. And at that point, I remember it crossing my mind. It was like I could either throw all of these away, or I could take some, you know, to cope with the stress of my dad passing and the stress of tonight. And of course, I ended up taking some, and that immediately there spun me down a dark hole. It was like right when I took it, because it's like I didn't have any priorities. I didn't have like anything to look forward to at all. I didn't have anything exciting going on in my life. So it was like as soon as I took it, that was it. That was the thing I was looking forward to. That was the thing that was exciting in my life. And like I said, that just led me back down that same path. So yeah, I pretty much went from like going to treatment and doing really well, and I was going to AA meetings and hanging out with sober friends, to that one night just all of a sudden doing that. And I'm glad I did. It was a learning experience. I'm glad I did everything in my life, because I feel like I've been through so much shit that without it, I wouldn't have learned. And you know that old saying, a smart man learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. I'm not a wise man. I end up learning from my own mistakes, and trust me, I've made so many. So I pretty much end up, I do that for a few weeks. maybe a month, and I end up going back to treatment. And this time it's at a much better place called Hazelden. You know, celebrities have gone there, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I met so many good people that I still talk to this day, and it was just amazing. That's all I can say. Like, both times I've been to treatment, it's been the best time of my life because I realize who I am as a person while I'm there, and I can just be myself and be myself in front of other people that are anxious and scared and fearful and depressed. And like, the power, like I said in my second to last video, the power of being around people or like-minded people is just, it's amazing. It's so interesting how helpful that can be. After treatment, I end up going to a sober house, and a lot of people from treatment went to the same sober house, so I have this really good core group of friends, and I stay sober. You know, I have my ups and downs, but I'm working the program, I have a sponsor. I end up staying sober for a good 5 years, and then, you know, I end up starting a job at the nursing home, I get my own place, things are looking amazing. And then I remember in Florida last year and a half ago, 2 years ago, last year, I don't remember. I ended up drinking in Florida, and I've always been so afraid to, but then I realized that, not that I don't have a problem anymore, but at the time when I was using drugs and just insecure and I had nothing to look forward to, I didn't have a job I cared about or bills or priorities or obligations. It's like all I had to look forward to were drugs. And now that I had a good foundation, I could drink. I could dabble here and there. I know that sounds so dangerous, and it sounds like me justifying in my head for smoking weed every once in a while or drinking with my friends every once in a while. But I feel like in AA, they drill in your head that you're helpless. You have no power over it. You will never be able to do it again. And everybody's different. Like, I don't even really like drinking, as weird as that sounds. When people are like, yeah, I want to go out for drinks, I've had a rough day, it just doesn't appeal to me. Like, I like letting loose every once in a while. But as of now, I care more about YouTube, my job, my friends, Darwin, my mom, my family, the place where I live, paying bills, and then way, way down somewhere, like way below anything else, like I like to have fun and I like to party sometimes, but just completely different mindset from where I was, 8 years ago, 7 years ago, to where I am now. It's like a completely different person. Or at least I hope so. I'm sure I still have some of the shitty traits that I had back then. But, yeah, I mean, that's kind of my story wrapped up into however long this video is. But, would I have changed anything in my past? Probably. Honestly, I wish I would have never stolen from my mom or hurt my mom in any way, because that still fucks me up to this day. But other than that, it's like I'm glad I made all those mistakes, because it made me who I am. And not just mistakes, all the good things I've done too. It's not like I was a complete piece of shit back then, but I was pretty damn close. So that's my story, though. I'm skipped over a bunch of shit, and I think my next video I'm going to talk about my Kratom story, starting like 6 years ago till now, or 5 years ago to now. Let me know what you guys think if you'd want that video. But I'm happy with where I'm at right now, even though I get depressed on occasion and people are like, oh, you should take Kratom to cure your depression. I'll get into that on my next video, but yeah, I'm good. Yeah, so bad times make the good times that much better. I appreciate you all. I hope you enjoy this video, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Yeah, we're golden, baby girl, we're golden. They're about to see it shine, 'cause we're golden.